Hey, it's Ace, like the card, and today I'm trying to figure out how item sorters work. Okay, any attempts I've ever made at making an item sorter have kind of ended here. I have a hopper that goes to another hopper and into a chest. And the reason they kind of end here is because even if I fill up this thing with only the things that I want, eventually it drains to the point that the item I don't want going into that chest goes in. Okay, with the minimal I know about Redstone, things can kind of be locked. I learned that when I tried to make a door and I figured out you could lock a repeater. So I put down this redstone torch behind the hopper to try and lock the hopper per se, so that the items would just stay there. As you can see, this worked. The buttons didn't go in, but the problem is that then when I put in items that I wanted to actually eventually get into the chest, they also didn't go to the chest because they ended up being locked in that hopper, and when it hit a stack of 64, it just froze. This led me to two conclusions. One, I could try and use a repeater and have it go off and on to try and get items to go in, but to eventually freeze. I'll come back to that because it's kind of right. The next thing I did is that I could learn how to use a computer, which I don't know how to use, so we went off and did some research. I tried a multitude of things. Firstly, I did a little bit of research to figure out that I was putting these facing the wrong direction, then I found out that you could click it to turn it off and on, and I tried to do a whole bunch of stuff until eventually I accidentally figured it out right here. Right here, when I was messing around with stuff, I put stuff into the hopper and realized it was activating the computer, which I didn't realize was how that worked, but apparently it is. I then waited to see if this would be the thing that would stop it from having all of the buttons just fall into the chest from the hopper, if it would actually stop when it reached one button. Spoiler alert, it didn't. And with my experimenting coming to a total standstill, I went and did some actual research into people who had built item sorters. This led me to the fact that there's basically one way that everyone has determined works. So I went and I built that, and I'm going to explain how I understand this to be working. So remember earlier when I mentioned that repeater would turn off and on and could maybe regulate how stuff is going? Well, that's actually what does sort of happen, except that it's triggered by the computer and then it triggers that redstone torch to stop so that things do change direction. The next major thing I learned was more structural. Basically, hoppers, when an item is in them, is being held, and the way that hoppers are programmed, items will always go down before they go to the side, which means that if you're trying to have stuff go in a timed fashion, a hopper needs to be going down and then to the side for it to work. Then I tried to line up all my redstone with the bottom hopper because I was like, oh yeah, all the redstone is affecting the bottom hopper and that's making everything go. And then I realized, no, the bottom hopper just pushes stuff into the chest in front of it. So the redstone needs to be lined up with the second hopper, the one that's on top of the first hopper. But once I had done that, everything worked. Here's a drastically sped up clip so you can see what's happening. I used carpet to block out those other 4 sections, and then I went and I put in my oak buttons and my spruce buttons, and I added that other chest and hopper, so when stuff went through, my oak buttons eventually go into the chest, and the spruce ones get put into the discards chest. Okay, this is where I get too big for my breeches, and I start going, oh my gosh, I can figure stuff out, and so I try and make a single item sorter. So the computer was working because stacks of stuff, like it would stop at 41, so there would still be part of the stack in there, so that way only the continue of that item would go in. That does not work with the fishing rods, and maybe I could go back and try and add some other hoppers to the side to try and get stuff to work. But at the very least, what I've discovered is that you cannot actually fix this by connecting hoppers in front, because what that will eventually do is just make the carpet move forward in the hoppers, which the carpet is supposed to be blocking stuff, so that doesn't work. So my genuine answer to the fishing rod dilemma came when I was building this for my fishing area in my other world, and the answer is just that the discards chest will become the one where fishing rods go into. If you sort out all of the other items that can have stacks of stuff, so cod, salmon, pufferfish, name tags, then the discards chest ends up being those one unstackable items, so you end up with all your fishing rods and all your bows in there. Alright, here's the tutorial without all of the extra fiddling around. This is what I'm starting with, just that you can see and copy what I'm doing really easily. First I came over here and I'm going to make that same eye out of cobblestone. So 3 on the bottom, then go 1 up in the middle and 3 on top. Once it looks like an eye, you can grab a redstone torch, go to the front of it and place that redstone torch down. Then go to the back, standing facing towards the front of the eye, place the repeater down. And you can put that cobblestone on top, and then you're going to place down 3 pieces of redstone. The first one on top of that back one, and then 2 up on top of the eye. Then go stand at the very front of your eye shape and place down your computer. Then you're going to hold shift when you press down the chest, put it next to the other chest so that it does not connect. Then you're going to make sure that the hopper is connecting into the chest, again by shifting before pressing on it, and then put a block on top of the chest and shift and press so that that hopper is facing forward. Then go to the side and go up 2 before placing down a chest, and then making sure that you're facing into that chest you just placed down, place a second hopper clicking inwards. When you stand back, it should look like that. Then what you're going to do is you're going to grab some filler blocks. These are blocks that you don't care about and are not going to be in your item sorter. For me, I'm using brown carpet. Grab 4 of them and place them filling up all except the first part of the hopper. Do that in any hopper you have, and then grab your actual blocks you want sorted. For me, I'm doing some oak buttons and some spruce buttons. Then I'm going up top and I'm placing in my 3 different types of buttons. I'm putting in some spruce buttons, some oak buttons, and some birch buttons to have them be sorted. I'm now going to speed this up drastically so that you guys do not have to sit through all 3 stacks getting sorted. But the point is that when you look into these chests, they will be draining down and they will be going into the proper ones now. Because I only have 2 where I'm sorting out birch, I'm sorting out my spruce and my oak, my birch buttons are going to end up going in this discards chest on the side. Overall, that's how you make it. Anyways, I had a lot of fun with this video and I hope it helped you some too. See you guys in the next one.